This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Well, welcome everybody to an epic way to start our afternoon and our sunset safari. As you can see, we have what looks like one of the Kichwa males, the blondie from the Kichwa males, under a beautiful, beautiful Mara evening sky. Unfortunately, the wind is howling though, so it is quite chilly out here and quite blustery, which is basically woken up this male lion because it was quite warm a little bit earlier and he was a bit sleepy. But it is a very, very, very good way to be here, as we kind of see he's just kind of facing out at the moment and just watching what's going on. He's kind of looking back down towards the marsh area. He's kind of between the escarpment and the marsh at the moment, which is pretty much where we often see the Awinyo pride, and so he's just kind of having a little look around as the wind blows. Now, my name is Tristan. Before we get any further into all of this, and on camera this afternoon I do have Manu with me, and it's, like I say, a very warm welcome to all of you. And remember that we are coming to you live from not only Kenya in the Masai Mara, but also South Africa in Djuma. And so if you would like to ask any questions or you would like to interact with us, which we hope that you all will do, you can do so via hashtag SafariLive on Twitter or at FC on the YouTube chat. Now, our lion has been very, very sleepy. He's been sitting, taking it very easy. Like I say, the sun was out just now and it was quite hot, and so I don't sort of blame him for having a little bit of a nap. But since the cloud cover has started to come over and the wind's really kicked up, there was a big storm that passed us, and luckily we didn't actually get any rain on us, but it kind of went behind the escarpment there, and since then the wind has really kind of picked up and has become quite heavy, and it's cooled right down. And so I suppose it's the right time of day for a lion to start waking up, although he looks like he might have a bit more of a nap. He is looking as though he's quite tired, and yep, there we go, off he goes and back to sleep once again. So I'm not sure he's going to be too active just yet. We're not too far away from where those two lions had a buffalo carcass yesterday, and so we might kind of leave him for now, go and just scratch around and see what else we can get while he's still so sleepy, and then come back a little bit later and see if he's maybe made his way towards that buffalo carcass though. In the meantime, let's send you across to South Africa so Brent can say hello to all of you and introduce himself and see what he's going to be doing for the rest of the afternoon.
Well, hello. My name is Brent Leesman. I have Batman on camera. And I am very excited to be on safari with you today. Hashtag SafariLive if you have any questions for me on Twitter. And pop them on the YouTube feed if you don't want to use Twitter. Now, I am facing a dilemma at the moment. I don't know what to do, and I need your help. So, do I look for Hosanna, who gave me the runaround this morning, or do we roll the dice and go look for Thandi and Tlalamba? Let me know. Have a vote. Decide amongst yourselves. Tweet it, comment it, but let us know what we should go look for. Thandi and Tlalamba, or Thandi or Tlalamba, we'll keep them together, or Hosanna. And you need to let me know quite soon, because I'm sort of in the middle now. I can go either way. Hashtag SafariLive. Let me know where I should go. Okay, so Louise is going to tally up your answers to see where we should go look first. In the meantime, we're going to do a bit of birding this afternoon as well. See what birds haven't fallen out of the trees from the obscene heat we're experiencing at the moment. It's about 40 degrees Celsius. I think it's around 104, 105 Fahrenheit. And that's with the cloud cover. Probably sitting, I'd guess, about 65-70% humidity, so a little bit uncomfortable. And I'm thinking that any kitty cats at this very moment in time are going to be... What? Sorry? They're going to be sleeping. Yes, today was almost too hot to sleep, so I decided, you know what, let's just spend the day in the pool. That's what I did. I had delusions of working on editing photographs and doing all sorts of stuff, but I ended up spending the majority of the day in the pool, doing a little bit of reading one of my favorite authors, which is always a fun thing to do, to take a time out from... take a bit of time out from reading books on animals and stuff, so reading a bit of Terry Pratchett. Okay. Now it seems like most of you want me to look for Hasana. Am I going to go against the will of the masses? Craig? The man of few words? Yes. Craig says go against the will of the masses. In a single phrase, yes. So how about this? We'll make a compromise. I'm going to go look for Thandi and Tlhalamba first. Especially on a hot day like this with a bit of cloud cover, they might have moved towards the water at Torchwood. And if we have no luck there, then I will go look for Hasana around camp again, because it is on the way back, so to speak. I'm surprised. I thought Thandi and Tlhalamba would win. Now, we've got some exciting news. We have someone who's on interview drive this afternoon, and his name is Rusty, not the car. His name is Rusty, his nickname is Rusty, and he is a very dear friend of Jamie's, so we're going to send you across so Rusty can introduce himself.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for having me on this drive this morning, this afternoon. We're very lucky this afternoon to be the first sighting of the breeding pair of lions that's been hanging around the area. They were quite vocal last night, so we managed to follow them up this morning and then catch them this afternoon. So we're just going to keep an eye out on them. It's still very warm here, so they are very relaxed. Yeah, on drive, you've been updated. Everyone knows Jamie. She's a good friend from a previous life, long time ago. And we have Zeb on camera, which everyone knows as well. Okay. The female's actually just lying further up, but she's actually sat up now. Don't know if you can see her through the thicket here. But yeah, if she gets up and moves, yeah, if she gets moving, we will follow her. But for now, we'll just let her be. With this heat and the humidity, they won't be moving far. I believe there's actually a water pan not too far from here where they might be going down to. Well, Andrea, yeah, favorite animals. It's not actually a favorite one. There's a variety of them. You can't really have one choice out here. But if I'll have to say one that I feel quite relaxed with will be elephants. Elephants just seem to suck your soul in and put you into a happy place. No matter how bad your day is, you go sit with elephants for a couple of hours and everything is better. So, yeah. We'll see if we find any this afternoon roaming around. But, yeah. Is she still... yeah. Justin, yes, I grew up riding on the farm in Zimbabwe, out of all places. My mum was a very avid horse rider. It wasn't really much by choice. We pretty much put on as a child and carried on from there. It was something that came into a career later on in my life. I started 7 years ago and still doing it today. It's something I really love to do. Riding is a great sport, and to interact with a wildlife from horseback is a whole different experience. But this is also a changing of scenery. Getting onto a vehicle is also just it's a new game to play. It's another challenge. Yeah. She's still watching very intently about something. We're not too sure what. Her ears aren't even moving. She's very focused. Shall we move forward? Yeah, we're going to move forward a little bit. We might have a better visual of her. The male is flat cat. There's impala moving through the tree line there. The chances of this ending in a hunt is very unlikely, but you never know. So Mostly during in the afternoons like this, although there is cloud cover, our temperature, as you've known over the last few days, if you are new to streaming, it's very warm here. Lions will generally not hunt in extreme weather unless something hobbles past with a broken leg or they're taking advantage of something. I've seen a lion mating couple like this a few years ago attack a giraffe that was giving birth and not eat it. It was just generally how cats are. They come after the weak or the vulnerable. So it's a vicious cycle out there. But on a heat of day like this, impalas it's a lot of work, I would say. Yeah, we'll give it a while longer, see what the impala do. This guy definitely not moving for nobody. So yeah, apparently look, these two males that have come into the area recently, there's this male and his brother. His brother's hanging around. We saw him this morning. He was actually chasing off a younger subordinate that's been hanging around. This guy and this lady have been paired up for, I think, the last few days because they haven't been seen. They'll mate on and off, generally as it cools down. They'll mate on and off quite often. It's actually very impressive how often. But yeah, generally as it cools down during the night, you'll find out. If we're lucky, we'll come back here past on the way back and see if anything happens. But it's always nice to see. It's all a new gene pool going on here with this male. Oh. It's gone. Okay, while we wait for these guys to decide what they want to do, the lions, we're going to go over to Brent and see see what he's up to this afternoon. We'll catch you up shortly. Okay.
Well, we've found a primate we don't actually see good views of too often. Generally, we're trying to chase them away when they've broken into Ingas, but there's a big troop of baboons heading up the Mawati at the moment. One of the definitely more interesting creatures to watch. Now, they have some of the most complex social system out of any mammal living out in the wild, and a very, very complex evolutionary biology, and one of the few creatures that will adopt infants from others. They will play politics, commit treason, seek favor by grooming or giving favors or food. So a very, very interesting animal to watch a lot of. Now, let's see if we can get a bit closer to them. I don't want to scare them. They seem quite relaxed, and there's lots of them moving down in the Mawati riverbed, so I'm going to go down there. Oh, we've also got a warthog before we get there. No, don't run away, little Peggy. Oh, Peggy's running away. Oh no, there's another one in there, having a proper mud bath. Oh, you can't even see him. He's disappeared into the mud. He's rolling around. Happy pig. Hello, happy pig. He's got himself completely covered in mud. And our arrival is definitely not going to put him off. He's had his full mud bath before he's getting out. Looked like a little male from what I could see in the face. Last year's baby. Really enjoying a nice mud bath there. If we're lucky, he might go find somewhere to go rub on now after he's got all the mud on. Find a good spot to scratch all the itches. No, not just yet. This is a very happy warthog. Off it goes. That was lovely. Okay, let's try and catch up with these baboons. Now, of course, this is the Chakma baboon, and it is the largest of the old world primate species. Now, in occasionally an olive baboon that we get that you'll get up in the Mara, will get to a similar size as a male chacma, but on average the chacmas are bigger. Now, the olives often look bigger, and that's because they're so fluffy, and that's because they live at that very high altitude, and it's quite cool. Oh, look at that baboon rolling around on his back there. And just stop here before I disturb them. Sorry, Craig, I need to a steep hill there. Look at him. He's having the bestest time. Oh, it's so hot. I'm just going to lie here. One really fun thing about watching baboons, because they have that very complex evolutionary biology, is the interactions, and try sort of work out who's trying to find favor with who. Now, you have probably quite a lot like human beings. You have male hierarchies and female hierarchies that operate independently of each other. So a low-ranking female can sidle up and gain favor with a high-ranking male, and therefore that high-ranking male will protect her, I suppose, from the cheerleaders, the mean girls of the baboon troop. And it's a bit more difficult with the males. Now, generally a big troop of baboons, or an average troop of baboons, will be ruled by multiple high-ranking males with a hierarchy amongst them. So sometimes very big troops can have up to 10 high-ranking males that dominate both male and female. But lower-ranking males will sometimes get together and scheme and sneak and plan a takeover to oust one of the high-ranking males. Rosalind's asking, do baboons kidnap dogs? I think this is a bit of a South African old wives' tale. They will kill dogs, most certainly. Dogs are a threat. So maybe if you have a Yorkshire Terrier and it yaps at a baboon, the baboon will kill it and probably eat it. I don't think they kidnap them to play with or to... Hang on. Battis? Across there, is that a hyena? There's a hyena lying in that thicket. Sorry, I just saw the movement there. There's a lazy hyena. Why are you lying there? Well, we definitely know there's not a leopard on a kill around, because the baboons would be making lots of noise. Oh, you've also been swimming in the dam, in the mud puddle. That's why you were around here. Not sure which hyena that is. What's it doing? Does almost look like it's eating something. Let's go have a closer look at the hyena, and then we'll go back to the baboons. Now, as a general rule, if there was a leopard around here, these baboons would be screaming bloody murder. Wah! 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 Which hyena this is, I'm not sure. I'm going to rely on you guys to let me know. Oof, looks like it's dug itself the bestest spot there. Look at that, digging out some cool sand. Just like, well, I'm sure those of you who have domestic dogs would have seen them do it before. There we go. And looks like he or she, I can't really see just yet, has been here for almost all day. It's really dug itself a proper little furrow there. See how all the different animals have their coping mechanisms for dealing with the heat. So there's some nice pans close by. So go get wet in the mud puddle and then come dig up the sand to get to the cooler sand underneath. Does anyone have a clue who this hyena is yet? Well, while you guys try figure that out to see which hyena this is and to let me know, it seems like Tristan's got more of a conundrum because he is going to try identify 5 at once.
Well, good luck figuring it out. We've been playing the same game on this side and figuring out who our hyenas are at the moment. But this is all Olololo clan, so we don't really know too much about them. We haven't spent a lot of time with the Olololos in comparison to the North clan, and so, we don't know their insight as well and who all the little members are of it. But this is a newish den site that I think Steve found the other day. So it's just the one adult here that's at the moment, and quite a lot of little ones that are being quite boisterous. It's a long way off, and because this is a newish den site, it hasn't been established yet, and so off-roading here is not allowed yet. It's only once it's all been sorted out and everybody knows about it that they can start to think about doing a little two-track towards the den itself. So we're quite far away from them, but it's very cool to see. There's lots and lots of little ones bouncing around all over the place, and they are, as you know, with hyena cubs, they are very, very, very full of the joys of life and can be quite boisterous at times. And you'll often see them kind of bounding about and doing all kinds of things that get them into trouble, and so it's a tough time if you're just one adult with that many around. Now remember that this is not the mother of all of those little ones. Hyenas generally only will have one or two, most of the time two, but never more than that, and so you'll find that those are all multiple different offspring from different mothers, but there's one female that's here, and so she's going to be tasked with reining in the hooliganism for the afternoon, which is probably going to be a losing effort given how playful these young guys can get. And you can see there's varying ages there. Some are still dark, haven't got their spots yet, all the way up to some that have already started to get their spots already. Now, our plan for the afternoon was actually we were going to leave that male line and we were going to go check on the North clan because of all the sort of interesting things that have been happening there, and we haven't really managed to catch up with them too much. But as we were kind of coming along, we bumped into this lot as well, so we thought we'd just stop and have a little look at them quickly. The Lego brothers, in all likelihood, a female, and it's 99% sure that it is a female. One, because you very seldom will find a male hyena around little cubs like this on its own. The females would be very, very upset if a male hyena had to come in and sit with the cubs like this and they weren't there. And so you'd find that in all likelihood he would be chased away. They're not really as welcome at the dens as what the females are. So I'm pretty sure there's a female. Also, you can see her the way that her belly is sort of sagging a little bit. She's still lactating and producing milk, so she's suckling those ones, and then also just her sort of general kind of relationship with those little ones. They're kind of bobbing around and moving around. If it was a male, you'd find the little ones would probably be a little bit more kind of nervous. There'd be a lot more greeting going on, so legs would be raised and they'd be sniffing each other's genitals, and like I say, there would then be a female that would be present. A male's generally not allowed around the den site if there is no females around. The thing is though is that sometimes you will get males that will be kind of in charge of the clan, and so it's a very uncommon thing, but it does happen that males sometimes can actually take over and be in charge. Normally it's the females that are the matriarchs and decide what goes on, but every now and then you might get a male kind of joining in and actually being able to carry a rank through to be able to be a very high ranking member, if not even supposed matriarch of the grouping. But in this case, it's, I would 99, like I say, percent sure. In fact, I'm 100% sure now that she's turned a little bit better, that we can see her tummy, that it is a female that is there. And like I say, who it is, we don't really know. The Olololo clan does have IDs and then they are known, but unfortunately, because we haven't spent a lot of time with them and they spend most of their kind of time split up between here and up towards the escarpment and even sometimes out of the park itself, it becomes a very difficult kind of clan to follow around. The North clan is far more stable and spends most of its time right in the center of the triangle, and so that's why we decided to spend more time with them. And so we don't know these guys nearly as well, but it's still epic to see the fact that there's a whole bunch of little ones bouncing around, and you can see she's snapping away at some of them. Now that'll either be a lower ranking cub that is around, or it's just one that is trying to come and suckle, and she's trying to keep it away so that her offspring can suckle and make sure that they get food before the well, not before, but so that the others don't actually steal food from her. So they're not ones that allo suckle very well at all. They're not like lions that will sometimes practice allo suckling, but you'll find that these guys generally will snap at a little one like that. Like I say, if it's either a lower ranking individual or it is trying to get to milk and she's trying to stop it from getting there, even if it is high ranking, so that her younger ones can feed and make sure that they are well fed. But as you can see, there is a lot going on there, and a lot of biting and playing and having a good time. Right, we're probably going to leave these guys now. I know there's lots of cuteness overload there. I want to, like I say, head to the North clan because I want to go see what's happening with Soup and Waffles. And so while we do that, though, let's send you back across to Brent, who's, I think, found an ID for his hyena that he has on his side.
Well, we think it's Corky on the vehicle. That's who we think it is now that stood up. And we can see a bit more. That wound, if it is Corky, that wound is healed very well. Oh, we're back to the ribbon. I don't know. It definitely looks like she's lactating when she moves the tail. She walked right next to us a bit earlier to relieve herself. Didn't want to relieve herself in her cool sand hole. His ears are quite distinct as well, and you can see there. I'm pretty sure it's Corky. Oh, although that big chop off the ear, I'm not sure. I'm not nearly as good as IDing hyenas as Jamie. Maybe I will take a picture and send it to Jamie. Apparently Jamie says if it's got dangly bits off her left ear, it is Corky. Hello, Corks. She is looking very, very comfortable in the sand. I think she's not going to do much. Oh, what have you heard? Corkalicious. Taking some time away from the children. Good for you, Corky. Good for you. Well, I'm going to keep heading towards Torchwood to see if we have any luck with Tundi and Tlalamba. We're going to leave Corky to lay about in the sand. In the meantime, let's send you to Rusty with a lion quenching its thirst.
Well, it didn't take long, and she did eventually move off. She tried to encourage the male to follow, but yeah, she's quenching her thirst right now. Still with it, no, the male literally has not moved a whisker. But there is a bit of a storm brewing in the distance, so I think she's trying to get him interested before they have a downpour. But this goes to show, look, in the dry season, most of the watering holes are restricted to certain areas. As puddles fill up like this, lines can distribute all over the area and actually cover distances where they don't normally go during the drought seasons. Okay, we're just going to follow her a little bit back to the male. She might be teasing him, see if she gets any action. She's actually looking a little bit impatient. He's just lying to the left of us, but if we stay with her, he will come to her eventually. Yep, she's on the move. Away from him, so we'll just wait here for a bit and see if the male comes up. Sorry, with the Prima. The different line, the most interesting line behavior will be, sorry, can you repeat that? Puma, sorry. Yes, the most interesting behavior with I find interesting with the lions is the hunting behavior and the family dynamics when it comes to the hunting, especially when the cubs reach the learning level, when they reach, let's say, about a year and a half, when they start learning about the hunt, and how patient the mothers and even the younger ones, they're learning or teaching the others, teaching them how to hunt. It's quite a strenuous process, and it's quite difficult to follow, but it's quite a dynamic structure when it comes to that family. It's a lot of patience. Sometimes the youngsters just run out at the wrong time. You can see the parents don't like to slow down to jog when it all goes wrong. But gradually, over a good couple of months, as they mature, they figure it out. So yeah, we're just gonna... Has he moved at all?
I don't think so, no.
No, both the female's headed up quite far up the road. We will just follow her for a bit, and hopefully the male will follow. Yeah, she's heading into the eye of the storm. Okay. Okay, while we follow up on these ones, we are going to let Tristan follow up on a bird of prey that's overlooking the Mara. We'll catch you shortly.
Well, good luck, Rusty. I hope that she leads you back to the male and that they do actually mate. But we have one of the more dramatic scenes that makes the Mara such a special place, is that you often get these incredible kind of vistas of big fluffy clouds or storm cells that stretch over this open landscape, and then you get these odd dead trees that stick up with birds of prey in them, and it really is quite something to see. And Manu's done a fantastic artistic kind of impression of our long-crested eagle that is sitting up in the tree, and it's a really nice shot of a long-crested eagle. These are birds that I love seeing here. They remind me so much of my childhood. Was when I was younger, I used to spend a lot of time with my grandparents in an area called Sabi. Now, Sabi is a town that is up the Sabi River, so not too far away from the Sabi Sands. It's about an hour and a half's drive from the southern part of the Sabi Sands, and you get a lot of them there. And we used to sit from their house and be able to watch them kind of fly past us and see them all the time. And so whenever I see them, it reminds me of that. But they're a very cool bird with that long kind of fluff sort of tuft that comes up, and hence the name long-crested eagle. And they've pretty much just can't really confuse them with anything else. I mean, it's the only bird really that we see in this area that's got that crest like that. And you find them a lot along kind of the forested areas. So here in the Mara, you'll see them sort of bounding between the kind of forested sections and right on the fringes of that, and they'll hunt all kinds of various things from there. But it's quite a beautiful silhouette with that little crest kind of coming up, and there you can see the kind of forested area that I was talking about. So often just on the fringes of that, and they'll hunt small rodents and various other things that they can find in this little open grass and section, and then use the trees themselves to be able to roost and to spend time in and watch out for things. But they're a very cool bird. Like I say, I thoroughly enjoy spending time with them. You do see them in the Sabi Sands. I have seen them at Twin Dams once before, not with SafariLive. I have seen them there when I was at Chitwa, at Twin Dam and Baboon Pan. There used to be one that hung around there, and then eventually it went to Arathusa Airstrip, and we saw it a few times there. And then from there it kind of distributed away, and we hadn't seen it again. And I haven't seen one since I kind of came back to the Northern Sands in 2015. But they are around every now and then. One does get seen, and so they're a bird that to look out for in the sands. A nice one for a Sabi Sands list. It's not a common one there, but it does every now and then come into that area. And like I say, Arathusa Airstrip is probably one of the better places. I've seen them there a few times, funnily enough, when I was at Chitwa. But you can see a beautiful kind of eye and that yellow sear, and it's having a bit of a tough time with the wind. The wind has settled quite a lot since earlier, since we were with that lion, and so it's not as bad as it was, but you can see the kind of feathers are being blown in all kinds of directions, and so not quite as sleek and elegant as it should look. It's a little bit kind of puffed out and but all over the show, but it's okay. It's still a very pretty bird. And yes, Louise, Manu's doing a sterling effort. It's a very, very good shot of a long-crested eagle. You know, often birds of prey, we have a struggle with them because they're often a long way away and you don't kind of get as much detail as you want. And so this is such a beautiful kind of picture with it on this dead tree, and then that sort of stormy blue coloration in the background is absolutely beautiful. And they really do have a bit of character to them. I like them. They remind me a little bit of the evil penguin, or chicken should I say, that put the little glove on its head from Wallace and Gromit. Now some of you might not know what Wallace and Gromit is, but it was a animated or claymation from the UK, and there was an evil penguin. Was it a penguin or a chicken? Or penguin maybe. It was a penguin, actually, and then it had a rubber glove that it put on its head, and then it had this little kind of rubber glove that would wave about in the breeze. So it reminds me of that. Louise says it reminds her of Bart Simpson. Well, I can see that, Lou. I definitely get your Bart Simpson kind of, especially when its head's like that, and there's those little points, and you don't see too much of the long kind of feathers coming up. When it's that sort of way, maybe not so much there, but like that, it's very Bart Simpson hairstyle. I agree with you, Lou. And I suppose it's got a bit of yellow on the face as well, so we'll give it to you. We can call this one Bart. This is now the long-crested eagle named Bart. Now, this long-crested eagle, I've seen many, many times. It hangs around right near this area that we're in at the moment, and so you do see it quite often. So, sorry, Lou, if you can just repeat that. Did you say, are they larger than a golden eagle, or did you... Because I didn't quite get that. Sorry, if you can just repeat it for me quickly. Now, we will have to wait for the delay for Lou to actually hear me, to then be able to feed it back to me, so you're going to have to... So Chatna, as far as I know, no. I think they are smaller than a golden eagle. Obviously, we don't see golden eagles in this part of the world, in South Africa, and so I don't really know them too well. But as far as I can think, I'm just trying to remember the sizes of golden eagles, but I think these guys would be smaller. They're not an incredibly large eagle. They're actually quite small in comparison to a lot of our birds of prey. So things like tawny eagles, steppe eagles, marshals, crowns, they're all much bigger than this guy. It's probably about the size of a Wahlberg's, actually, is a good kind of comparison for a long-crested eagle. So I'd imagine smaller than a golden eagle, but they do look super impressive when you see them like that. And look, it's now erected that crest right up, so you can see how big those feathers are when they do that. Isn't that cool? Now, they were down just now, but now you can see it's really kind of erected up and giving its full sort of crest as to where it gets its name. Epic. That's awesome. Right. Well, we're going to carry on, and we're going to see what else we can find. And it seems as though Brent and I are going to just match sightings all afternoon, because he's now got an eagle of his own.
Indeed, we do have an eagle all of our own. The African fish eagle. Majestically sitting against some beautiful sky with some rain. And if you look carefully, you notice that fish eagle's opening and closing its mouth frequently. Now, it is doing the eagle version of a gula flutter. Now, and the hippo's making a noise. It was just so hot, we thought we'd pop down to Chitwa Dam quickly in case some elephants were here. But what it's doing is it's letting air flow over its tongue, where there's a lot of blood vessels, to help cool it down. Isn't that gorgeous? Now, we've also got another bird, one which we don't see too often here in the northern Sabi Sands, sitting on the sand spit right there. It is an African spoonbill. It's always nice to see something a bit different, although now it's not showing off its wonderfully shaped bill that is shaped, obviously, believe it or not, can you believe it, like a spoon. And we'll keep an eye on him. If we move slightly off to the right of the African spoonbill, there's some cattle egrets. If I look like a cattle egret, yes, cattle egret in breeding plumage. And of course, the ever-present blacksmith lapwings. I'm trying to see what other birds we can see. Oh, there we go. Oh, there's a good one for the birders. Can you zoom in a little bit for me there, Craig? There we go. There we go. Now, I want you to tell me what bird that is. It's your bird quiz. I would like to know what wader that is. Hashtag SafariLive. If you know which bird that is. I nearly said its name by accidental. That would not have gone down well for my quiz now, would it? I'm just going to get it up on the app. Now, what do you want? Oh, sorry, can you just go back to it, Craig? I want to explain what everyone must look for. Now, we want to look at the shape of the bill. Is it straight? Is it turned up? And it has a very definite white eye stripe. And what color are its legs? So they're sort of dull legs, aren't they? But what you are looking at, that little indistinct eye stripe, quite a spotty body. But the eye stripes now, Jean-Ray, who of course you all know is the head of the camera department, and a numpty says, is it a baby flamingo? If I could be close enough to Jean-Ray, I would hit him with something. But it is not a baby flamingo at all, Jean-Ray. Now the light is a bit difficult, so it's quite it can be a bit challenging to see the colour on the legs. But let you ponder it for a little bit. I want to just move a bit further forward so you can hopefully see the spoonbill's spoonbill, which he's not showing us at this very moment in time. Oof, there's some lightning down to the south of us, still quite far away. Spoonbill, show us your bill. Oh, and Craig. There we go. Well done, rookie SA. It is indeed a wood sandpiper. But now the spoonbill is showing us its spoon-shaped bill. Here we go. Isn't that beautiful? And Craig, I know you can't help yourself. Oh, it's having a leg stretch. But that fish eagle you had framed up earlier, I think if you film there, there's a very good chance you're going to get a bolt of lightning and a fish eagle in the same shot. Craig is unhappy where I am. He says he thinks it was better from that log, but look at that beautiful sky. Oh, look at that lightning. Absolutely incredible. The sky is alight with electrics. Sorry, Louise, can you go again with that question? I missed it. The Lego brothers would like to know, is the fish eagle bigger than a bald eagle? No, as far as I remember, it's smaller. Craig, would you like me to move to the log so you can film the fish eagle and lightning from a better place? Okay. I can see Craig being grumpy behind me because it is not the perfect shot, and he is quite the perfectionist, the Batman. Batman, say when. Okay. Bit more. Okay, Batman. More? There, okay. Now Batman is happy. He thinks, oh, jeez, there we go. That was pretty. But, oh, you missed it, Craig. There was a lightning strike through the fish eagle's head. What's wrong with you, Batman? Oh, my goodness. How could you have missed that, Craig? I'm just so disappointed. I even moved the car especially for you. And you couldn't get it right to get the lightning at the same time. Now, of course, there's going to be no lightning. We can hear the hippopotamus calling away, probably hoping for rain. Come on, lightning. It's just off to the right at the moment, but we'll be patient. So you guys ready with your screenshots to take advantage of Craig's camera work and him making me move the car? Oof, that was close, but no cigar. It is absolutely gorgeous though, just to sit and watch this. Of course, now the lightning is to the left. Oh, there was one. Come on, one more. Okay, well, it seems like I'm not the only one with a predator and lightning. Rusty's got a lioness and lightning.
Well, yeah, we do have the iconic fish eagle with the lightning in the background. And which one would you think is better? Come on. Lioness, lightning, fish eagle, lightning. My money's on her. She is gorgeous. She is actually playing the supermodel part. There's still no sign of the guy she's with. He's still flat cat further down the road. There's no contact calling or anything. She is still very impatient. She's actually moved onto this very obvious termite mound. I think it's also to catch a bit of the breeze coming through to cool down. But you can't mess with that shot. It is absolutely stunning. With the lightning in the background and the thunder and hopefully the promise of rain. And another promise, the guy she's been waiting for the last 20 minutes is making his way up here apparently. Well, he's stopping and looking at us. We will... Well, they've made eye contact. We're between them. We'll see what he does. He's not that enthusiastic, but we'll give it time. I think he's going to go. There's a pool of water just around there. We were watching the lioness. He is playing hard to get, absolutely. Yeah, so he's going to probably go to quench his thirst and then probably make his way up to join her up on her love rock, if you want to call it that. She's very nicely positioned. Yeah, you can't get more romantic than that. On a hot day, you just need a bit of rain dribbling down the neck. Ah, she is gorgeous. Yeah, still looking very impatient. Yeah. Nature girl. Do males need to repeatedly mate with the females? The question to that is yes. It's like a 3-day process. Every 20 to 30 minutes, the male will mate with her. Yeah, I can see why he's probably playing hard to get, is because it is a very tiring process. They do not hunt, they do not feed unless others kill an area, but they leave the pride to go and mate. So for 3 days, they're pretty much on their honeymoon. So I think he's quite a bit older than her, so I think she's just waiting very patiently for him to catch up. Yeah, he's still not showing himself. I think he is still drinking. But yeah, I think we're positioned quite well. I think he's going to come to her. I mean, you can't mess with that. The lightning is putting on a really good show. It is. Now we're just waiting for the rain to come this direction. As much as I don't want it to interrupt our drive, yeah. Yeah, Joshua, the question, what happens if another male enters a territory? There is actually another male that he is in coalition with. We did see him this morning, but he was chasing off another male. It's generally if there is another, then there is one more that's more dominant than the other. So the dominant one will mate with this female. If the other one wants to, then there'll be a slight argument, as with it is with humans. You can't have two guys with one girl. It's just, there'll be jealousy around that. But it's also a dominance thing. If you go towards, if there is another female and estrus at the same time, the chance of that other male being able to go with her is also a possibility. But as long as the dominant male is distracted during mating with another female, then the other male will be able to. But if it's not any of like a male that he recognizes or one from the coalition, if another male pitches up that's not in his territory, there will be quite a serious fight to where one or the other will be seriously injured or killed or chased off that property, that territory. So as he moved around. So I think we're going to play patience with her and see who has luck. The storm is almost surrounding us. Sorry, I didn't catch the name. B. Wilson, what do horses do when they meet a predator? That's a very good question. It's quite hard to explain, but no, it's actually not that hard to explain. Horses are natural prey to predators. And yeah, we do approach lions by horseback. We actually seek them out. And by doing that, we already change the behavior of a natural prey. So the lions do get confused by them. And they do try, especially young lions will try their luck, but older lions will really approach the horses very slowly because they're unsure of what is happening. We do obviously stand our ground. We do not turn our backs towards the lions. The same if you're on foot. Obviously, if you show your hindquarters, then it's easier for the lion to jump on you. So if the lion comes towards you, you go towards it with the horse. It is a difficult procedure, especially if the lions outnumber horses, but we generally have a number of horses in a group, up to 9 horses. Okay, I'm just going to pull off now. The male is reuniting with the female. She did disembark from a little clove. Okay. The general mating, rubbing of necks, smiling of genitalia. Yep. This is quite obvious what's playing out. I think some gentlemen have lost the art of flirting. But yeah, she's definitely playing easy. Come on, boy. But he does have a... I don't think any lions have any French friends in the area. But yes, she is... Oh, it is a beautiful ritual though. Okay. Oh. Nope. Oh dear. It must have been a long day. I think when the lights go out tonight, when the sun's gone down, I think he'll definitely put more effort into it. No. Well, the plan did work. He did come to her. So yeah, we'll come back in a few and see if this male lion does get interested. There is still a storm brewing, but yeah, we'll see how it goes. Okay.
Well, hopefully we will be. Hopefully there'll be a little bit more action with those lions and things will happen. At first I got a bit of a shock because right out in the middle of this open clearing, I thought it was an Egyptian goose at first, just the way it was standing, but it's actually a bustard that is busy walking around there, and kind of gave me a bit of a shock at first that it was. I thought, what is an Egyptian goose doing all the way out in this particular section? It's a accident waiting to happen, and I was half expecting some sort of predator to chase it down, like a jackal or something like that. But this is not an area that you would see an Egyptian goose. You see, when it sits like that, it almost looked a bit Egyptian goose-like. It's also very far from where we are at the moment, and so you can forgive me for thinking so. Brent is probably going to have something to say, no doubt, but it's all right. I'll just ignore him because I don't have to actually see him for a few weeks, which means that I won't have to worry about getting anything. It's just via radio comms, and that makes life a lot easier. But you can see in the background there's a lot of rain that's starting to come down in the southern part, and it's super weird. We're out in the park at the moment, and this afternoon we've been out, and we have only seen one other vehicle this whole afternoon. We have not seen another car. We've only seen one, and it feels eerily quiet. There's not sound, there's nothing. So even with the wind, when it settled just now, it was quiet. There was no birds calling, no insects, no animals, and it feels all a little bit weird. And it's interesting because this area yesterday morning was covered with zebras. There were zebras all over the place here, and now it is barren, barren, barren. There is nothing here. So I don't know where everybody's gone, but apparently we've missed where the party is, and so we kind of thinking and hoping that we'll find some animals, but we're not far from where the North Clan Den is, so we're going to just pop in there. That's the plan, is we're going to head not towards the rain, we're going to head towards the escarpment where it looks a little bit, I wouldn't say brighter, but a little bit less threatening. Louise, no, I can't have arrived to the party too late. I've been out since 1:30, so it's been a long, maybe I'm too early for the party. That's maybe what the story is. Or everybody else has gone up the escarpment to our camp because it's our Christmas party this evening, and so maybe everybody's gone up that way to enjoy a bit of a Christmas festivity. Exactly, maybe I've just ruined it, and it's a surprise party, Manu. We're going to get back and there's going to be hopefully animals all over the place. Now if they there's going to be a gathering on quarantine and a gathering on the top of the Ololo escarpment. Now if they do come to the one on this side, they're going to have to be in their best dressed Maasai gear, because that's the theme for this evening, is everyone's got to dress in Maasai regalia, which is going to be quite interesting. Should be quite fun, I think, and quite festive. Last night it was the Ngama Christmas party, which was definitely very festive. That party went on until about 3 o'clock this morning, by the sounds of things. There was music coming from that side until 3 o'clock, so it seems like the staff that side had a wonderful time. Well, there's some animals. Hello, guys. Little Tommy's gazelles, they're always nice to have a little look at. Such pretty little things. They're so small. They remind me, I wonder if they kind of look as though a springbok mated with a goat, and that's how you ended up with a little Thompson's gazelle. They've got a bit of goat-like sort of look to them, don't they? And their size is that of a small goat. If you ever wondered how big they are, they're not very big at all. And so, I don't know, there's something about them. Maybe it's the kind of way that they walk and those sort of short, stocky legs and body that make me think of goat every time that I see them. But they're very pretty little animals. They've got beautiful markings, and obviously very similar to our springbok back home in South Africa, except the springboks are a lot larger than these guys. But very, very pretty little things. And you can see mostly females in this group. There's the odd male that's running around. There was one big male amongst them. There he is. Hello. He's busy sniffing. He's got one thing on his mind. His party is about to start as well. What is with the animals today? There's a lion party in Djuma, and now, yes, a Tommy's gazelle that is feeling very sort of frisky and is chasing that poor little female around everywhere. And you can see he's trying to sniff under her tail, and if she urinates, she'll find that he'll even put his nose into her urine, and he'll kind of almost put that urine onto his organ of Jacobson in the roof of his mouth and be able to analyze whether or not she's in heat. But the way that he's running after her, I would suggest that she is coming into an estrous cycle, and he is trying to get lucky, so to speak. And I'm sure he will be persistent enough, and eventually he'll get it right. She certainly doesn't want anything to do with him. She's running away, and now he's embarrassed because we're talking about it. Off you go. You're going to lose her. No, wait, is there another one? He's confused now. There's too many options. It's like being at a buffet when there's so many different kind of foods and you don't know what to eat. That's almost what that face looks like. Is now he's very confused as to who is who and which one should he actually be going after. Shame, boy. Yes, well, I'll just scratch my head instead. It's what most men do. Exactly. Most men scratch their head too with women. Don't worry, buddy. You're not alone. It runs across species. Anyway, we'll leave these guys to themselves and stop talking absolute nonsense and start kind of carrying on towards the den while we still have a bit of light. It'd be nice to catch up with the little ones and see what they're up to. And I honestly have no idea how many there are even at the North Clan Den anymore. There must be a lot, because when I left there were a lot and they were all small. So there must be a lot of well, medium-sized hyenas running about in this area, and so hopefully we'll have a productive evening and we'll be able to see Waffles and Soup and see what's actually going on there and who's doing what, because it's intriguing to think that maybe Soup is overthrowing Waffles and taking over. It's going to be an interesting kind of next few weeks, I think, and I certainly will try and spend quite a bit of time with them and see if we can see the whole process kind of unfold. But I wonder where all the zebras have gone. It's quite astounding that there really is so few zebras here in comparison to what there was yesterday. I suppose this is how it works here, is even in the migration. Is one day you'll have thousands of wildebeest here and the next day they're all gone and then they come back again. And so maybe they went south towards all that rain that's falling south of us. Good. We are towards the den, as we said. While we do that though, let's send you back across to Brent and see if he's found that perfect lightning shot yet.
Well, it's just so much perfect lightning happening at the moment. We're just sitting here and enjoying it. And sometimes it's good not to rush around chasing big cats and just enjoy what you're seeing right now. Rain, of course, has a very special connotation to us who live in the dry country. The bringer of life. It's one of those things that if you've lived in arid areas, it's a great talking point regularly. And the first big lightning storm of the year is always wonderful to watch. Sorry, I missed the name there, Louise. Paka, who's 12 years old, 6 years old. Oh, my comms are going funny. Would like to know, do hippos ever get hit by lightning in the water? It is a possibility, but it is unlikely. Generally, the lightning will hit one of the big trees rather than hitting the water. Now, an area where there's not too many trees, of course, that possibility rises more. And the hippos will be looking forward to the rain just as much as us. And you can see how low the Chitwa Dam is at the moment. Craig, where's that crocodile you spotted? Craig spotted a crocodile. Is that a crocodile? Here is a little crocodile. Little Nile crocodile. Obviously been feasting on the fish caught in that shallow water. And oh, there's the sandpiper again, but there's a lovely saddle-billed stork as well. Very hot. See how the beak's open again, like the fish eagle's beak was open? Trying to cool down. I would actually say it's almost getting warmer as the storm gets closer and the humidity rises. Craig is now going because he missed the lightning because he was looking at the stork. Lauren is wondering how much rain will it take to fill the waterholes. A lot. We've had less than half our annual rainfall this year, so it's still quite a lot to go. Oh, there was a hippo opening its mouth. Now this storm, unfortunately, doesn't look like it's going to hit us. I think it's going to move to the southwest, like the one yesterday as well. It's a bit closer, so maybe tomorrow's the day. Although there's a little bit of rain to the north or the east as well. And of course now Craig's framed for the lightning. Oh, there was one. But we had some really big ones a bit earlier. Oh. But it has been wonderful. But I think it's time we should go look for some animals. Although I could quite happily sit here and watch lightning all day. Maybe 2 more minutes, Craig. Get you that really spectacular sheet lightning as well as some bolt lightning. Come on. Oh, there we go. That was a good one. Good enough to end on. Okay, let's keep moving. It is very sweaty. Oof, big lightning again. Okay, well, I'm going to still in search of a big cat. However, we're going to send you back to Rusty and the mating pair.
Well, there's no love lost at the moment, or love gained. He's still very relaxed. The females just moved off to the behind us. He's not in any rush. The storm is just brewing to the edge of us now. If it does move closer, then we'll have to move out. We're hoping he's going to make a move soon. Yeah, it's what happens in the bush. It's patience is the game. Yeah. Cookie Mombay. Will the lioness go, just confirm that, go look for another male? Yeah, yes. Yes, I wouldn't say this guy is not viral. Yeah, he's got all the tools needed and the equipment, and I think he's very viral. But yes, after a few days, if she is not impregnated, she'll move off to another male. But he knows this is his male, his female. So she is not going to go far from him. Or she'll just keep walking, he'll keep following, and he will chase off any males that come close to him, close to her. So it's not that easy for her, but after a few days, once he thinks he's accomplished what he needs to be done, if she's not satisfied, she'll go look for another male if he's distracted with something else. But otherwise, she won't have a chance. Right now, these two are a pair, a couple, until the divorce papers come through. So, yeah, we'll see. This marriage so far looks very short-lived, but the day is young. We'll see how the evening goes. With him, it pretty much sums up his routine. But yeah, they're not very bad. They're about a 4 out of 5 in stomach contents, so they look like they fed a few days ago. They look quite content with that. So yeah, they will be. Yeah, feeding will happen in the next few days if the mating ends, when the mating ends, or if they get an opportunity. But right now, let sleeping lions sleep. Wow. Hi James. What are the big cats that I like to spend time with? Yeah, lions are great, but leopards are pretty much up there. They're very secretive, so when you do get to see them, you just want to appreciate the moments. I believe around here, yes, we do often bump into them and get brilliant sightings and get to become familiar with them. But in other areas where leopards are a bit more scarce, when you do bump into them, it's like a real treat. And because they're so shy and elusive, when you do get one that actually allows you to view it, you seem to have that I don't know, excitement. And yeah, I think leopards are my top one. There obviously are smaller cats that are there. Cheetahs are amazing. If you get cheetahs that can get habituated to people, then you can follow them for ages. But yeah, leopards, they're just stunning animals. They are unique, beautiful, and very elusive in most parts. So I think, yeah, leopards tops them. Lions are, yeah, definitely up there. But as a big cat goes, leopard. Yeah, there's actually individual storms popping up around us. This one's broken off, or the lightning is hitting down. I'm hoping that there's not a lot of dry grass in that area, because bushfires at this time of the year become quite a problem. It just seems to be moving along the mountain range. I'm sure everyone's got the same song in their head, The Rain's Down in Africa, by Toto. Well, right now with this heat and the sweat running down my neck, I bless the rain's down very soon. I think I've got that song in everyone's head now. Thank you. Well, we are seeing, they had rains here a few days ago, and you can see on the video there is a lot of green coming through. It is mostly the spring flush, but the new greenery is coming through on the grass buds in some areas, which is actually, it doesn't look like much, but for the antelopes and the other smaller herbivores around here, this means the world to them, especially with the impalas, with new lambs. Every bit of blade of grass or leaf has a value here. Yeah, the spring growth. Well, hopefully this rain turns in on us. As much as I don't want it to rain, or don't want it to interfere the drive, I wouldn't mind a bit of water running down my back and not sweat. Okay. Okay. Well, there's still no activity from this male, so we're going to head over to the Mara, to Tristan, where I believe he is following up on hyenas.
Well, hopefully they will do something at some point. Our hyenas at the den are as spread out could be. This is one of 3 that we've found, but they're about 150 meters apart from one another, so no one is close at the moment, and who is always quite tricky. Now, I'm relying on Manu a lot of the time to try and help me with these things, and he says they get quite confusing as to who it is. Now, this is one of the younger individuals that's lying here, so I don't think this is one that's got youngsters at the moment. Certainly doesn't look like there's any lactating there. Is there lactating? Come on, turn side on. First we're going to sniff around and have a little look and see what's going on. But it's one of those things that is quite tricky. It's going to take a bit of time and a few days for me to dial into exactly who. I luckily have got sent all the ID kits by Jamie and hyena researchers that are here and based in the Mara, and so we'll be able to kind of work out roughly who is who and hopefully build up at least a bit of a knowledge as to what's going on. Obviously Waffles is easy to recognize. She's obviously got the collar, and so that makes life quite... Well, the way that this is behaving is that there are little ones inside there. Do you have lactating? You're certainly digging. Interesting. I wonder if this is a young female that's prepping to have little ones and is now excavating a little bit and checking out a potential new den site. That'd be quite interesting. And so, like I say, I mean, Waffle's obviously easiest to recognize, and then you've got Soup, who's fairly easily recognizable as well. And so those 2 are not too difficult. If we found the 2 of them, we should be okay. But this individual is just dug out a little bit and has completely disappeared inside there. And it's just the tail that's flicking every now and then. And so you can see how these kind of little mounds work, as this is how the dens kind of in the Mara are. They're very different to the ones that we see down in Djuma. Djuma has much bigger structures from our termites that allows them to be kind of visible and has much more sort of a platform to where the sort of entrance to the den is, whereas these are more just holes in the ground. Now, yes, camera shy is the right word, Louise. She is camera shy. She's now poking her bottom out again. Have you found what you're looking for down there, or have you decided you're okay with what's going on? Yes, you. They are comical creatures, aren't they? And off we go. Now, decided that's that. So I don't think there's little ones down there. The excavating would tend to suggest that's more kind of just looking for potential den sites, but she doesn't look pregnant in any way and looks very young still to be having offspring just yet, but you never know. Maybe it's just a kind of instinct and has learned behavior in some degrees, has watched others doing it, and maybe it's the start of the pregnancy and that she'll eventually kind of fill out a little bit more. But you can see going into most of the little holes here and sort of sniffing around and looking around, and this is how den sites are chosen by both hyenas and cats. They do the same thing, as they'll go and sniff, and wild dogs as well. They'll go sniff and look and prospect and try and find the best possible home for their little ones, and obviously according to their rank within the hyena clan will obviously help them be able to find the best possible spot. But we're going to leave this one here because this one's being very shy and is not showing itself at all, and we're going to head back to the others that we saw. There was 2 lying quite close together. Evidently Soup and Waffles don't seem to be here at the moment. Manu said that when he saw them it was roughly in the area that we're in now, and I don't see any sign, and it's fairly kind of open for the most part, so we should theoretically be able to see if they were lying anywhere in this sort of general vicinity. But as you can see with that hyena there, once they go into the ground, it can be quite tricky to find them, and so they might be lying right here, and I've just completely missed them. But let's see. Well, Nico viewer, I mean, this is a debate that has raged for a while in terms of how close hyenas are related to cats and dogs and these kind of things, and the answer is that they're not really related to either, in terms of they've got their own family altogether. So they're in the Hyenidae family, and so they are not, you know, a cat or a dog. And they say that there is closer relations to cats due to certain physiological kind of things that they have, or attributes that they have, but it's so little that I don't really think you can actively say, you know, these guys are related to them. So not very much is the answer to that. I mean, even if you look at their looks, it doesn't kind of lend itself to being called a cat, does it? Right. Where are they? There they are there. So I knew they were close-ish. We just were having a little kind of look around. There's so many holes here that they could be in any one of them. These guys have taken and using now for an insight, but the ones that we found earlier should be just on my left. There we go. Okay, so now can you see her now? Oh, there we go. So there's one that's lying on our left and one just behind the bush as well, which is good news. Now this particular individual is super light, so we should be able to ID her quite easily once we have a look at the sort of ID kits. Manu was saying that she's got two tiny little ones at the moment, so we'll try and kind of figure out who she is. He says he can't remember the name, and I obviously don't know it, but she's very light. She's almost white in coloration in comparison to the others. If you have a look just kind of over that way, Manu, can you see more on that side? Okay, let's just try and go and have a little look. So Sawa sounds like she's a Jamie really did a good job in trying to learn all of these things. It's crazy how many hyenas are actually here, and to recognize all these spot patterns is quite something. Where is Sawa now? Okay, well, we'll try and find her again just now and sort of have a little look around. But while we do that, let's send you back across to Rusty. And I wonder if Rusty is in Rusty. Actually, hang on, Brent is driving, so he won't be in Rusty. But anyway, he's with the lions, and let's see what they're up to.
I don't think I'm in Rusty, and Rusty's not in me. Am I? Yeah. We just had a brief visual of a tawny, but of course, as you get into position and you get lined up, they've got this amazing thing called flight, and they flew away. So yeah, it didn't go far. It's actually quite a nice angle where it is now. We're just going to reverse a little bit and see if we have a visual of them. As you'll see, it's actually got a very full crop. They're not the most agile hunters out there, but they do scavenge a lot. So whether it's tortoise, there are a lot of tortoises out now with the rains coming. Okay, yeah, so we'll move back later. Otherwise, well, we're going to head back to Tristan, and we are going to try see if we can avoid the lightning. Okay, we seem to have a technical error. I'm going to blame it on the lightning around us. So, yeah, we're just going to reverse back. We are literally coming into the eye of it with the storm brewing around us. But this time of the year, with a lot of birds of prey in the area, you got to make do. There is a high chance that he's going to fly away as we get closer. Oh. Okay. You can't help it, but if they fly away, they fly away. Sorry, can you repeat that again? We just... Victor, when do the birds migrate back for summer? You pretty much answered the question, which is summer. Yes, they arrive back at this time. It's generally, at the end of, let's say, September, October, November, you start seeing some of the summer migrants. Some are actually still returning. The woodland kingfisher, the Wilbergs. There's a couple of them that have just arrived shortly. The tawny, he's more residential than there are guys that migrate. So they generally stay around. I'm not too sure where you're from, but in Europe it's the opposite way around. You have winter when you have winter in Europe, we have summer here. So we do get some of your winter migrants that come here, but and then opposite way around. It is getting quite windy up here, and the storms are circling us. So we're just going to drive around a little bit more and see what else we can pick up. Okay, we're going to pass you back to Tristan in the Mara with a serval cat. He's very lucky. I haven't seen one of them in the wild in a very long time. Okay, we're just going to head out.
Indeed, so we were sitting at the den and serval walked past, which is always very, very exciting. It's one of the best things about the Mara is that you see a lot of these guys, and it's in hunting mode, and I'm pretty sure it's going to jump shortly. Look at that bum wiggling. Now look, there we go. Oh, did it get anything? Let's try and get around quickly and see if it caught something. Often if they've caught something, they don't run. They just stand up with this little mouse in their mouth. It's really cool to watch them hunt. I love watching servals do their thing. Now, no, it's missed. It doesn't have anything in its mouth. Hello, little serval. Isn't this epic? Watching a hunting serval is such a cool experience. I love watching them because they kind of stop and then you see that bum wiggle and you get a nice little warning that they're about to jump, and then there's this explosive leap and then they kind of land with this plonk. Now it looks like a female as far as I can see. It's difficult with servals. It's not as easy as a leopard. A leopard has obviously nice golden testes that help being able to see male or female, whereas serval a little bit more tricky. But what you can see with these guys, even though they have kind of similar markings, it's almost like a cross between a leopard and a cheetah in many respects, more like a king cheetah actually than anything else. But these guys have much shorter tails than those cats, and that's because their hunting strategies are not speed like a cheetah and not being able to climb like a leopard, and so a long tail is not necessary. They can rely on having short little tails because they're just going to move around and then just kind of plop onto what they're hunting, so they're not actually using a lot of speed to hunt. The amazing thing with these guys is they've got super long legs, and they're able to then launch themselves into the air and catch all kinds of birds that come past, and the amount of height that they can get when jumping is quite incredible. So it's amazing to watch them, and the fact that it's on the hunt is worth us kind of following and having a little look around. But is that not an exquisite looking animal? I think they're absolutely beautiful. I absolutely love watching these guys, and like I say, this is one of the best places. If you want to see a serval, then Kenya in the Masai Mara is probably one of your better places that you will go to see these guys. They are quite abundant here. James, the other cameraman, now big James, should I say, not small James, he said the other night he saw 5 of them, which is quite something. So we're going to just reposition quickly again, just so that we can get a nice view again. This very relaxed individual, it's allowing us to follow it around, which is quite something actually. Normally with these kind of cats, and obviously in Djuma we have a very different way of seeing them, they are so shy and so reclusive that we really don't get to see them much at all, and we kind of just see these tails disappearing. We very seldom will actually see the cat sort of sitting still. So what I'm going to try to do, I'm just trying to see where it is before. Now, are they related to a lynx? Well, obviously they're part of the Felidae family, so lynx, I think, are also part of Felidae, which is basically your smaller cats, so things like caracal, serval, wild cats, even domestic cats, they're all part of that kind of thing. And so I think a lynx is also in that same bracket. I'm just not 100% sure, but I'm 90% that they are in some way kind of related and in the same family. Obviously just don't occur in the same places, that's all. But isn't that a beautiful animal? Now you can see it's on the road, and look at how long those legs are. You kind of forget how long their legs are when they're in the grass because you can't really see it, but as soon as they get onto a road you can get an idea of just how much longer they are, especially when they turn side on. You can get a really good look, and massive ears, and that's how they're able to hear these little rodents moving about in the grass and then be able to pounce on them and grab them. But isn't this cool? I think this is very cool. It might not be a leopard and it might not be a cheetah, but it's a spotted cat and we'll take it. Indeed. Well, Billy, who's 6 years old, how long does a serval live for? Well, I think it's very dependent on where the serval lives and what it has to face in its life. Is it a serval that is in captivity? Is it a serval that is out in the wild? But if it's a wild serval, well, I would imagine that its lifespan, unfortunately, will be much like most cats out here, and then that it will live, probably an old cat would be between sort of 10 and 15. That would be, it's considered older individuals. It's much like I say, most of the other cats. So cats are quite nice because a lot of the families generally, you'll find that it's a pretty similar age for most of them. There's not too much of a difference. I mean, I would imagine in captivity we could probably get these guys to more like 15, 16, maybe even up towards 20, but in the wild you'd probably say between 10 and 15, and then again it will depend on male and female, but you can see it's just kind of slinking along. Now what I'm going to do is, I think I'm just going to turn around because the road is actually not too far from where it's heading, and if we can get in front of it slightly, we might get lucky. Just checking now if it's going to hunt there, because if it's going to hunt, then I don't want to get around it because we're going to be able to watch it nicely from here. The best is if you can get on side onto it when it's hunting, because then you can get that nice arc of the leap that they do when they are hunting. So I'm just going to give it quite some room and just kind of get round. Now, I think it's a fairly good idea to maybe share this experience with others, and so we can take it onto our other platforms, Louise, if you would like to. I'm quite happy to do so. Serval's always a special thing to watch. Now, it's just trotting off that way. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Kenya's Masai Mara on a stormy, beautiful afternoon. There's a bit of wind blowing, there's a storm that's looming, and it is incredible conditions and perfect conditions for cats to be out and hunting. Now, you might think that we're just looking at a bush, but behind that little bush at the moment, which is going to appear shortly, is one of our more shy and elusive cats that you don't get to see all that often in some parts of Africa. Here in Kenya, it's one of the things that you can see quite often, and it is called a serval, and they are exquisite cats. They are really very, very beautiful. You can see those incredible black markings that they've got and those white tips to the ears. Now, this cat is busy on the hunt at the moment. You can see how it's going through the grass, and it's using those massive ears to listen. Even though it's windy, those ears are covered with fur that will help just kind of buffer that wind a little bit, and they'll still be able to hear little mice that are moving around, and that's what it's looking for mostly, is small rodents. Now look, see how it's noticed there's something might be there? Now watch what it does. It will get nice and kind of alert. It will lift its head up a little bit and it will focus, and those ears will move around, and those ears will then pick up exactly where something is moving inside there, and if it's a viable target, then it will stop and it will kind of go down on its haunches and wiggle its bum a little bit, but nothing really of interest too much there. So it's now carrying on. We're going to keep up with it because otherwise it's going to disappear fairly shortly. The light is getting quite gloomy, and so it's going to be tricky to kind of keep up with it. Now, I also almost forgot to mention, my name is Tristan. On camera I've got Manu this afternoon, and like I say, we are coming to you live from Kenya, which means that this is all interactive, and so we'd love to hear from all of you, and you can just post any comments or questions that you have in the comment section below, and we'll try and answer as many as possible. But we're going to just try and keep up with it. It has already tried one hunt in technique, and one failed attempt, should we say, in a little kind of bounce and tried to sort of hunt something. So we'll stop here. We've got a nice open clearing here, so this is a good place for us to be able to kind of see it. I think a little to the right, Manu. There it is, yeah. So you can see how difficult it is to actually see in the grass when it's kind of a wider shot. It's not actually that easy. Those spots help to blend that cat in completely. Now, Aubrey, you say it is a beautiful animal. They are incredibly pretty with all those little blotches and bars and spots. They really kind of do stand out, an incredible looking animal species. And we're fortunate to follow them here because, like I say, there's in many parts of the world they do occur, but they can be very shy and elusive. And, you know, normally if the grass is too long, they just kind of go into the grass and that's them gone. But here, because especially now after the migration is left, things are quite short, and it makes it a lot easier to be able to see them. Now, this particular one is still kind of sniffing around and listening. I'm really hoping it's going to hunt again for us, because it's amazing to watch them hunt. Like I say, they kind of get down and they wiggle their bum, and then they explode using those long legs into this kind of arced leap, and then they land on whatever it is, and if they're successful, then they kind of grab it with their paws and then put it in their mouth very quickly, and then they stand up and they'll look around with this little mouse in their mouth, and that's kind of mostly what they go after. They will also go after things like birds. Birds are high up on the list as well, and so they will try and kind of hunt those if a bird flies past, but mostly rodents is what they're going to look for. Now you can see it's going towards a little thicket, so I'm just going to get a little closer. Sally, you're asking whereabouts in the Masai Mara are we? Because servals are your favorite cats, but you've rarely seen one. Well, we're in the Mara Triangle, so currently I'm in the sort of, I would say, northern section of the Mara Triangle at the moment. We're not too far from the river. You can actually see that forest line in the background. That's where the river flows. That's the Mara River, and that's going up northwards towards the edge of the reserve. So we're in the sort of northern parts of the triangle, right up against the Olololo escarpment. And like I say, there's quite a lot of them here. We see them quite regularly in the evenings. If you're out at this time of the day, as the sun is setting, you can get lucky with quite a few sightings of them. And actually, the other day we were talking about a little bit earlier, but one of the guys saw 5 of them in one night. So Sally, if you want to see servals, I would suggest this time of the year in this part of the world, and maybe you'll get lucky and see them. They really are an incredible animal, and as you can see from Sally's interest, it's not an animal that everyone gets to see, and it's something that is quite special to see on a safari. And so hopefully it's going to continue to hunt and provide us with a successful hunt, because it really is cool when they do grab something. I always love their face when they stand up and there's this mouse in their face. Now, Sarah, what time is it here? Hold on 2 seconds, I'll need to check. It is 6:30 in Kenya at the moment, so in the evening, 6:30 in the evening, that is. And so it's a good time of the day. Like I say, for a lot of the cats, things like leopards and lions, they're going to all start waking up now and start to think about hunting. Servals as well, you'll get wildcats that will come out at this time, caracals. You don't see either of those very much at all in the Masai Mara. In fact, they're very rare. We were just talking about it earlier. But things like servals, and leopard and lion, this is when they start to wake up and really start to get quite active. Now I'm going to just stop here. It should walk kind of towards us. It's just hunting, and you can see what it's doing. It's hunting along the fringes of these little thickets, and that's because this is where things like rodents are going to spend their time. But look at how cool that is. Isn't that amazing? Such a beautiful little cat. Now, Keith, which predators would this serval have to worry about the most? Well, undoubtedly leopard would be one of the biggest threats for these guys. Leopards are very, very good at hunting pretty much everything, and so they would catch these guys every now and then. Lions could be potentially dangerous, although you'll find that this is quite an agile creature, and it probably could, if it sees lions in time, get away. But lions would be a threat. Leopard, even cheetah, birds of prey, something like a martial eagle would be something that a serval would have to worry about. So there's a number of different things. Even something like a python would be something that a serval would need to be careful of. So, they do have a number of different little predators out here, and they need to be a bit careful. But luckily for them, they do camouflage very well, and they are very, very, very in tune with their environment. Incredible sets of ears to listen, and you'll see with them, they often stop, look around, try and just figure out what's going on in their environment before they actually move about. They're not just animals that will just kind of charge about willy-nilly and kind of get themselves into a sort of trouble that way, but they are quite alert as to what's going on, and if they need to, they'll try and get into cover. But I would say leopard would probably be their number one predator, and then followed by probably things like martial eagles. They would be quite something as well. I'm just going to go a little bit further forward again, because it seems to be hunting all along the fringes of these little thickets. So wherever there's a little bush, that's a great place for a mouse to hide, and so that's where they will go. So, Andrew, I mean, it's obviously tricky in terms of how many times do they have to hunt a day. It depends on how successful they are. So you'll find that they'll have two kind of hunting periods, or intense hunting period, should we call it. It would be from now until sort of 2-3 hours after the sun is set, and then just before that sun rises again, you find that they'll hunt, and then it's to bed. And how much they will eat in a day, again, is always very variable depending on what they catch. I've seen a serval hunt 3 or 4 mice in a hunting session, which in terms of weight would be probably, you're looking at about probably about 100 grams, 200 grams, the size of the mouse that it was catching. So it just depends. I mean, it depends also on the size of prey. If this serval brings down something like a guinea fowl, which is a big bird, that's going to be a lot of food for it, and it's going to end up, being very full and probably not hunt too much more after that. But if it's catching small little shrews and things like that, then, it could hunt 8, 9, 10 times during the course of the evening. But what they do is they're very clever. The way that they do these things is that they go slowly and try and then find food and then grab it and then next and then go and go and go. So they will hunt quite regularly and not always successful. So even if they catch 5, they might hunt 10 times. Now, Kim, you say you are going to be in the Masai Mara in 66 days and you are very excited. Well, I'm not surprised you're very excited. It's an incredible location to be in, and we are so fortunate that we get... Oh, a little scent mark. Nice. We are so fortunate in that we get to spend time out here and be able to live in a place like this. It is an incredible ecosystem. There is so much that goes on in the Masai Mara, and so much more than just the migration. And that's the thing, is that everyone kind of thinks Masai Mara migration, but there's so much more to it. Things like these little servals, watching this hunt is a very special experience. And so, Kim, I hope that you're going to have the most amazing time. I'm not sure whereabouts you are in the Masai Mara, but either way, you will see a lot of amazing things, and you certainly will be spoiled with one of Africa's most iconic game reserves and see amazing things. So you are very lucky to be coming out here. I think there's many people in this world that would love to be in your shoes in 66 days. I'm sure of that, because when I was a kid, this is the one game reserve that I always wanted to come to, and now lucky enough to have actually worked in it, which is pretty special. And so I hope that you're going to have a wonderful trip. Now, our serval has just gone through to this thicket. I want to just see if it's maybe spotted something, because I haven't seen it come left or right of the thicket, which I would have expected if it was still moving. So it might have just stopped and be listening out. Now, I'm trying to keep my distance as much as possible, because I don't want to disturb it on its hunting sort of... Oh, there it is, actually there. It's popped out right in front of me. I didn't even see it. The camouflage is quite something at this time of the night. Rocky, no. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure they're capable of doing it. I've just never seen one doing it. So climbing trees is not something that they're very good at. Their body structure is not right, and you can see their tail is very, very short. Now, anything that climbs trees generally has quite long tails. So you look at leopard, genets, they're very good at climbing, and they have very long tails. It just helps to counteract and balance them out when they're trying to go up. Something like a serval, you can see that tail is very short in comparison to its body, and so its balance going up would be quite tricky. The thing is, though, is that any animal really, that is a cat, could probably get into a tree if it's persuaded. So if there's a leopard on its tail, I wouldn't be surprised if it did go and jump into a tree and try and climb up quite high. But they're not tree climbing cats. They're not ones that you'll see in trees often. Funny enough, things like a wildcats are in trees regularly. You'll find them often if you go into the Kalahari Desert and you go drive around those areas. You'll find wildcats up in the trees regularly, and that's actually how you look for them there, is just look in all the trees during the heat of the day, and you'll spot them kind of curled up. But these guys, not so much. They prefer to be on the ground. But it seems like it's locked onto something. Look at how its whole demeanor has changed. Look at how carefully it's putting its paws now. So it's trying to keep its sound as low as possible. It's trying to maneuver itself closer and within strike range without giving its position away. And if it had to walk quite fast, obviously it's going to make a lot of noise. And things that it's hunting, rodents, they all have very, very good hearing. So it needs to be very careful about how it places its feet and slowly but surely edge its way towards whatever the target is. And hopefully the target is very close to where it is now, because there's a little mound there, and I wonder if it's not somewhere close to that mound. You can see the ears are quite focused now. Look how the ears are not twitching nearly as much. They're staying quite forward, so it's listening now very intently to what's in front of it, and I'm hoping it's going to make a little bound. Now if we see it starting to drop its back legs a little bit, there we go. Now it's listening and it's working out where it needs to be. Isn't this cool? It is not every day that you get to follow around a hunting serval. Now wait. Now watch if its bum wiggles. We're going to see an incredible little jump from this guy. Oh, it almost went. Here we go. It's waiting. Now watch. This is very cool. Come on. You can see it wants to go. That bum is wiggling all the time. There we go. How cool was that? So you can see how there it got something. Look at that. So it got what it was hunting. How epic. Now, to get these kind of things is super cool. It's not every day that you get a successful serval hunt, and that played out absolutely perfect. So you can see how they leap into the air and then run along and grab it, and there it's got parading its little mouse around. And that's what I was saying earlier, is that once they grab something, they kind of parade it around a little bit, and it'll find a safe little spot, and then it's going to chomp that down. And it doesn't take long for it, obviously, to eat that. That's not a very big meal. But still, how cool was that hunt? That was so cool. I can't believe we actually got it right. I was thinking we might see a little jump, but I didn't think we'd get it as epic a one as that, where it kind of exploded out, landed, and then started to kind of actually carry it all the way back right next to us. So that cat at the moment is not even 15 meters from where we are right now, which is super special. How amazing was that? It's not every day that you're going to go see that. Now, what's interesting is that it's busy carrying it, and I wonder, I mean, could it be? This is a big if, but I wonder if it's maybe going to carry it back to where we came from. If it does, because it's heading exactly the way we came. And if it does, I wonder if it's maybe got little kittens that it might be taking it back to. Obviously, cats do these things. Normally with servals, from what I've seen in my experience of watching them hunt, is they normally eat quite quickly once they've caught it. And they eat right there, which is, you know, this one is obviously not doing. Now, a lot of you are saying, wow, what an amazing sighting. Well, I can promise you that is as special as it gets. I've seen many a hunting serval at night, but never at this time of the day, where we've got such beautiful kind of visuals of it and such a sort of clean kind of look at it. Manu's done an incredible job to be able to capture that serval grabbing that little mouse. What an epic experience. And I hope all of you have enjoyed watching that, because, like I say, it's a special thing to see. It's not something you're going to see all the time. But what I want to do is just slowly follow it along. Gemma, well, I mean, like I said, I suppose it's dependent on an individual, because some will be very good and some maybe not so good. You know, this particular serval we watched, it has a 50% success rate from what we've watched. It jumped once before already, missed, and then jumped on this occasion and grabbed it. But I tell you one thing, I did follow a serval the one time, and out of 5 jumps, it caught a mouse 4 times. So, you know, they're pretty successful, and they've got an incredible set of ears, and obviously the way that they hunt, it doesn't really give that mouse much time, and that launch into the air and then lands pretty much on it, that mouse doesn't actually hear it running towards it, and it's why it does that big launch with those long legs. So, you know, it's an interesting way of hunting, and very obviously very different to what we see from a number of, you know, other animals, but it seems to work for servals, and some of them are very, very successful. But let's just keep following it and see. How amazing would it be if we come across little kittens? That would be a first for me. I have not seen serval kittens that are too small to walk around with mom, so I would be very, very intrigued if there was kittens. It's just unusual to me that it walking like this with its kill as far as it has. Normally, like I say, with a serval, as soon as they've killed, they kind of just gobble it down and then off they go and carry on hunting. But this particular one, as you can see, it's still on my left, and it's starting to get quite dark now, and you can actually see the kind of camouflage that they have when it's darker, but you can see it's still kind of carrying it along. It hasn't stopped yet, and the distance between us and it is very far, so it's not like we're disturbing it from eating. And remember, when it caught it, it turned straight back towards us, which is quite interesting. Irene, indeed, the serval is walking the catwalk. It's as good a catwalk as you've ever seen, and it's very proud with its little mouse, isn't it? Much like any of you who've got domestic cats would know this walk very well, because domestic cats, they walk like this with their kind of prey in their mouth, and very proud to show everybody what's going on. Now, the problem is I can't give it too much space, because it's getting so dark that I actually don't think I'll be able to see it with my own eyes shortly. So, I mean, it might look quite nice on the screen, because our cameras these days are incredible and are able to capture things that, you know, our eyes just don't really see as well. But we'll just, if we keep this distance that we're at now, then it's okay. Then we're about kind of 30 meters from it, 40 meters from it, and we'll be able to see where it goes. But it's heading exactly where we first saw it. So where we first found this is just ahead of us here, and it's heading in that direction. Now, when we were following it, it looked like a little female. because obviously, you know, with males, generally with cats, you can see the testes, and I couldn't see it on this particular animal, but it seems like this one might be a female. Just now when it marked, though, it didn't mark very much like a female. It kind of just lifted its tail and sprayed, but I suppose, you know, you see that from some females, and something like a leopard would spray like that. But let's just give it a few more minutes and see where it goes to. It's just cut through a little thicket here, and like I say, this is very close to where we first saw it, so we're just going to try and see where it goes. Where's it gone now? There it is. It's still walking kind of away from us. Alright, let's try and get along this edge here and leave it on the other side so it doesn't worry about us too much. How cool is this, though? I hope you all enjoyed it as much as I did, because I absolutely loved what we just saw. That was super, super interesting to watch, and like I say, it's not something you get to see every day. You know, servals are not a common animal at all for anybody, and so watching one hunt is very, very special. Alright, so we're going to try and just slide through this gap. I can just still see the serval through there. But amazing how its technique works. It's an interesting thing to watch, because obviously, you know, you follow different cats, and different cats have different ways of hunting. And these guys, well, the way that they hunt is not really that well known, but obviously we know that they stalk things like little mice and stuff like that, but, you know, obviously we don't know how they work, and you can see how this one was just looking for any sort of structure where a mouse can hide before it leapt up. Angela, are they endangered? No, so their numbers are actually probably quite high. It's just that they're quite elusive and shy, so they don't really like to be seen all that much. They tend to try and hide away, and because of their size, anywhere where you've got a bit of grass, you don't really see them, so it's very tricky to see them in long grass. So if you come into the Mara in times when there's a lot of rain, so like in the long rains during April, May, then it's a lot harder to see these guys. In fact, you don't see them much because they're in the grass, and they're so small in comparison to the length of the grass that you don't see them. So I think they just, their habits, that they're nocturnal, the fact that they are small, and the areas that they occur, normally grassland, makes it quite hard to actually see them. So they're not as, well, there's a lot more of them than one would actually think. Now, where is it gone? It should come out just behind that little sort of bush there. There it goes. But it's still walking. I don't know. We've gone past where we first started now. We're still kind of moving along, so I'm not sure how much further it's going. And it's also getting very, very dark now, which means we're going to start losing sort of quality on the camera, and the infrared lights, because we started this quite a while ago, we don't have our infrared lights on at the moment, so we're not going to be able to switch onto those. But awesome. Anyway, I think what we're going to do is we're going to let this cat carry on. I'm not going to disturb it. If it is going to kittens, it's also getting very dark now, and I don't want to be in a place where there are kittens at the night, because, well, our lights attract things like hyenas and various other predators as well, and so that's going to make life a little bit tricky for that serval. So we'd rather not risk it. It's been an absolutely incredible sighting. Hopefully all of you enjoyed it. I know Manu and I did, and hopefully next time we'll see you on Safari Live. Remember, you can just Google that. But until next time, from Manu and myself, it's been an absolute pleasure. We'll see you all soon. Right, guys, well, that was absolutely incredible, amazing sighting. I hope that you all enjoyed it, but I am going to be sending you now to a technical loop, a technical difficulty, because there is a massive storm in Djuma, and Louise just got shocked using the radio, and so we don't want anyone to die. And so, well, we'll see you in a little bit, hopefully the storm calms down, and we'll see you guys just now.